2:25 and 11 hours later, we're about to shred this bad boy. Good morning and welcome to Heat of the Drum. My name is Steve. Today it's pork butt time. And it's early in the morning here. We're going to get this thing going early and let it smoke all day. So the prep for this video, or for this pork butt I should say, happened last night. So we're going to insert that footage right now. Okay, let's go over the ingredients for this rub, and here we go. So right here we got 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of coarse ground pepper, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic, granulated garlic, a half teaspoon of ground oregano, a half teaspoon of ground cumin, a half teaspoon of chipotle chili pepper, a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a half teaspoon of ground jalapeno, and then right here what we have is a 1/4 cup of Ancho chili powder, and then we also have right here a 1/3 cup of light brown sugar. Now we're going to get all that combined together. One thing I do want to say real quick too is on all these measurements, these are level measurements. These are not heaping measurements. It's leveled off on each one, so just something to keep in mind. Now here we go. Let's get it all mixed up. Star of the show, this Ancho chili powder. Then we'll go in with our light brown sugar. And then everything else. This rub really takes on a cool color. Let's get it mixed up. And we're making quite a bit because it's a big piece of meat. And when you're done, it's going to look like that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just reserve about 3 tablespoons, roughly, of this seasoning right there, just for later in case I need it. We'll set that off to the side. And what I have here is a 7.9 pound pork butt. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little trimming on it. Here we go. So as you can see, this thing is pretty lean. I'm not going to be doing anything down here, really on the sides. Everything looks pretty good. We're going to concentrate a little bit on this fat cap right here. Now you can leave this as is. You can score it. You can remove it totally or remove it partially. What we're going to do tonight is just kind of partially remove this. We're going to leave a little bit on there, but not much. So let's just get in here and work this across. Because I want to season the meat, and it's going to be in there a long time. Let's just get that off just like that. And you just keep flaying it till it's the way you like it. You know, it's your piece of meat. Make it your own. You want more fat on there? Leave it on there. And I'm not liking the way this is kind of separating on me, this meat right here. So I'll show you how to fix that in a second here. Let's go ahead and get this fat off. Right there. So what I'm going to end up doing, because I don't like the way this is separating here, so I'm going to get it back in place like this, and then I'm going to twine it. I'm just going to lift this up. And what I'm probably going to do, just since that's right on the corner there, is I'll just twine across. I know normally you don't have to do this, but I don't like the way that that's separating, and I want to keep that all tight. It's going to be a long smoke. Just like that. And we're just going to go with that one right there, I think. It's going to be perfect. And here's our rub. So what we're going to do now is just flip this thing over on this side. And let's start getting this rub on here. I'm not using a binder. You can if you want. This thing is wet and sticky enough for me. So I'm not using one. You could use oil, you could use mustard, you know, whatever you wanted to use. Let's go ahead and get these sides. And we're seasoning heavy. This is a almost 8-pound piece of meat, and it's going to take some seasoning. And that's just more flavor in the end. Look at this bad boy. He's looking really nice. We made plenty of rub, so don't miss any spots. Look at that. Okay, now what we're going to do is just take a tray. I'm going to pick this up, set it on this tray. I'm going to hit it with a little bit more rub just on top right here, because we're after flavor with this thing. Look how dark it looks already. And look at the color that thing is taking on already. We're going to wrap this with foil, and it's going in the fridge And here we go. Back in the fridge overnight, and we'll see you in the morning. All right, so the pork butt is still in the fridge. It's been in there overnight. It's going to be about 14 hours in the fridge before we get it on the smoker. So we're going to prep the smoker now and get things going. And today we are using some Royal Oak combined with some Kingsford briquettes. And that's exactly what I have in my chimney there, about 3/4 of the way filled up. And then we're going to add to that some cherry wood. So we'll get that staged around a little bit. Just like that. Nothing like the smell of charcoal early in the morning. All right, we're going to let that chimney go for about 15-20 minutes until we dump it. Get our restrictor plate in. And we're going in with some warm water. Gonna let that lid stay off for about another 5 minutes. We'll get her on, then we'll start dialing this thing in. Thermometer's in, let's get the lid on. Now we're gonna work on dialing in the temp, and we'll be setting the baffle down below for too long here. That alarm means it's time for me to set my damper down here. So let's go ahead and take care of that. There we go. Okay, let's talk temperature. My target temp for this smoker today is around 240-ish, give or take. Right now, we're 215, so we're slightly low. That's fine. I'm not worried about it at all, because it'll come up. What we want to do now is get a look at this pork butt. Like I said, it's been in the fridge 14 hours. We put the rub on it last night, and it's just been sitting in there absorbing all night long. So let's go ahead and get it uncovered and see what this thing looks like. And look at that. That thing ain't even cooked yet. Look at that. Let's get it on the smoker. It's time. And here we go. Right in the center. Wow. All right, the meat is on. We're going to let this go for 3 hours. At the 3 hour point, we're going to open it up, rotate it, and put our thermometer in. Start monitoring our temp. Welcome back, my friends. It's been 3 hours, and we're going to open up the smoker and get our first look at this pork butt. Now, what I did here is I took about a cup of water, hot water, real hot water, and remember that rub we reserved 3 tablespoons earlier. I took a teaspoon of that. I dissolved it in this hot water. Let it steep in there for a little bit, and then I ran it through just a little strainer to get out any particles, and that left me with this flavored water that we're going to spritz with. So we're going to open it up, we're going to rotate, we're going to get our temperature probe in and see where we're at. Here we go. Oh yeah, you can see she's starting to dry out just a little bit right there, but we're going to take care of that. Let's go ahead and spin it. We're going to work fast, and we're going to spritz. Starting to get some really nice bark on there. Something just like that. Okay, and we were 121 on the pork butt, so we're looking for the magic number is about 165. At that point, give or take, we are going to wrap it up, and I'll bring you back then. And welcome back, my friends. We are at the 7-hour mark, and we're getting ready to pull this thing off and wrap it. Now, what I didn't show you was at the 5-hour mark, I did another spritz. So we spritzed at 3-hour mark, the 5-hour mark. Now we're 2 hours later at the 7-hour mark. Now we're going to wrap. I originally said that I wanted to wrap at 165. Right now we are at 160. So we're right there. It's a great time to just go ahead. Let's do this. So let's get it off. Let's get a look at this thing and get it wrapped. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Woo-wee. And what I'm going to do actually is just come on in here with this tray. And look at that. Look at the bark setting up on that bad boy. Right there. And we'll go ahead and get it off. And look at this thing. It smells amazing. Now remember that string that we put on there originally? Just to hold that together, we're going to go ahead and get that off of there. It's a good time to get this off of there. And get that out of there altogether. And what I have here is just some pats of butter that we're going to put on this thing. And we're just going to go ahead and get some butter on this guy. Ooh. Butter's already a little warm, so we'll just kind of cut it and drop it on there. Woo, messy. That'll work for me. And then what I have here is some light brown sugar. And then we'll just kind of crumble it on top. Just like this. And now let's get her wrapped. And let's get this back on the smoker. Get the lid off. Back on we go. And the lid back on. Like I said, we were reading 160, 161 right in that area. And now we're just going to let her go. Looking at about 205. We'll go ahead and check it and check for tenderness. And I think we'll be really close at that point. So I'll bring you back once we hit 205. So I realized early on that my damper was set slightly lower than I would like it to be. And I thought, you know what? Let's just roll with it. Let's see what this thing will do. You know, I wanted to go low and slow, and that's what I've been doing all day. This has been going for 11 hours. Average temp, 225, 228, right in there. Like I said, I knew it was lower than the 240 that I was wanting, but I thought, you know what? Let's just roll with it. Let's see what this thing will do. And I tell you what, I have been smelling this thing all day long, and if it tastes as good as it looked the last time I seen it before we wrapped, it's going to be really good. Yes, we're going to let this thing rest for 1 hour, and then we're going to shred this thing apart, make some sandwiches with it, and it's going to be so good. I tell you what, it's been smelling great all day long. But we got to get this thing out of here first. So let's go ahead and get it out, and we'll let it rest for 1 hour. We're at 205. Let's check for tenderness. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Woo! Yeah, we're pulling it. Oh, man, is that thing hot. Now, remember, our journey started last night. We made this rub, which I'm calling my south of the border rub. Why? Because it's got Ancho chili, Chipotle chili, Jalapeno, Cayenne, all those great flavors mixed in. Where paprika is not the star of the show this time, it's Ancho chili powder is the star of the show. We mix that with some light brown sugar, with salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder. Came up with a great rub that really put a dark crust on this thing. Then we set it in the fridge and we let it go all night long, 14 hours to be exact, before we put that on this smoker. And although the smoker was running lower than I originally wanted, I just rolled with it. I didn't care. I said, you know what, 225, 228, that's fine with me. Let's see what this thing will do. Let's see what kind of pork butt's going to come out of this thing. And that's what we did. Let's get it out of this foil and let's take a look at it. Wow. Oh, man. This thing is going to crumble apart, you guys. Look at that. Check out the bark on this. We're about to shred this and make us some sandwiches. Look at this. Look at this. Look how tender. You've seen it with your own eyes. Shredding apart. Look at that. All day long. We're talking an 11-hour smoke, an hour resting period, and you've seen it. It just shreds apart. And what we're going to do, look at that. And don't be scared of those spices, because it's not spicy at all. It just adds a different flavor to it. Maybe something you're not used to. Now, you might be asking, what am I going to do with this? We got some brioche buns and some Stubbs sweet heat. Why Stubbs sweet heat? Well, if you look on the ingredients, one of the ingredients is Chipotle peppers. Goes right along with our theme. So we're going to make some sandwiches. Until I see you again the next time, remember, you can do this too. Thanks for watching Heat of the Drum. And let me get another bite of this. Look at that.